One of the clearest principles emerging across the archive is that the most important structures are rarely the most glamorous ones. They are often the overlooked, slightly accepted, even faintly ridiculous additions that make endurance possible. They are the extra brace, the repeated phrase, the slower pace, the unnecessary seeming ritual, the second pass, the redundant support, the overbuilt hinge, the lantern kept under the brim, the extra stitch in the leather, the line checked twice, the vow repeated once more than practicality demands. What the archive repeatedly insists upon is that these are not indulgences, they are load-bearing excess. The phrase appears explicitly in the piece on super versus super-duper, where super is treated as the language of acceptable adequacy, and super-duper is something apparently childish. But structurally serious, super means nothing broke, no one flinched. We can move on, it is not praise, only clearance. But super-duper signals something else. Not more sparkle, but more margin. Not decorative redundancy, but tested reinforcement. Super-duper belongs to load-bearing excess. That line may be one of the best keys to the whole archive, because again and again, the archive distrusts what merely works under ideal conditions. It wants to know what holds under strain. This is why the hinge matters so much. A hinge is not ornamental, it is the small mechanism that allows movement while keeping relation intact. It exists precisely to bear load invisibly. The same is true in the seven corners of life, where corners are distinguished from steps. Steps imply progress, corners hold weight. Corners define a room, stop collapse, and make a structure inhabitable. In both texts, what matters is not sleek motion, but the unnoticed architecture that makes motion survivable. The same principle appears in water keeps, the vow we send, where mercy is measured not by force, but by pace. Pour slow, don't spill, keep the vessel steady. What you flood, the song warns you do not heal. This is not softness as indecision, it is measured carrying capacity. The vessel must be able to hold, the hand must move at the speed that lets truth stay inside the cup. Again, load-bearing excess, the extra slowness is not waste, it is structural care. The prose pieces on the necessity of load and load-bearing work make this logic explicit. A speaker without a cabin load burns out a bridge without weight, proves nothing. A blade that never meets bone remains hypothetical. Most importantly, a mind without load drifts. It becomes ornate, speculative, and performative. It learns how to sound correct without having to be correct in this framework. Load is not merely stress, it is the answer that comes back when force meets reality. It is what keeps output from becoming fantasy. It is what calibrates. That idea helps explain much of the archive's suspicion of smoothness. Smoothness often means the absence of resistance. A phrase that glides too easily may not be carrying anything. A relationship that never pushes back may not be alive. A doctrine that costs nothing may not be true. Even false guidance in the witch papers and sound and light works by removing healthy load, reducing friction, accelerating attachment, bypassing witness, eliminating the checks that would force a person to recalibrate. Seduction, false affirmation, and contemptuous certainty all promise relief from carrying anything difficult. But what they really offer is instability. They remove the very load that would have made the system honest. This is why the archive often values repetition, exact wording and form. These these are not stylistic quirks. They are reinforcements, a repeated line, a doubled when. A manual attached to a fragment, a second song answering the first, a lullaby following a document, a testimony. All of these are examples of building more structure around a pressure point. They are the opposite of decorative excess. They exist because the work knows that some truths fail if carried too lightly. The same is true of the figure of William. The most mature songs in that cycle reject the fantasy of heroic necessity and instead describe burden that doesn't ask. Necessary is not a crown, it is a weight. William does not become central because he desires attention. He becomes central because he does not look away once he feels the shift. He checks the footing twice. He says super-duper where others would have settled for super. He stays where staying costs more. That is load-bearing witness. Even the archive's humor follows this logic. Super-duper sounds childish, doo-doo scribble sounds absurd. The diner cosmology songs are comic and surreal. But the archive repeatedly used ridiculous or excessive forms too.
Even the archive's humor follows this logic.
Super-duper sounds childish, doo-doo scribble sounds absurd. The diner cosmology songs are comic and surreal. But the archive repeatedly used ridiculous or excessive forms to recover seriousness from language that has been polished dead. That too is load-bearing excess. The childish phrase survives because it hasn't yet been professionalized into emptyism. The joke survives because it still has enough irregularity to carry pressure. So when the archive prefers super-duper to super, or corners to steps, or hinge to door, a witness to applause, or burden to title, it is naming one of its deepest convictions. What matters is not what passes lightly, but what stays standing when pressure arrives. Load-bearing excess is not more than necessary. It is what necessity looks like before collapse proves it was needed. In the end, this archive does not ask merely, does it work? It asks, will it hold? That may be the question behind its machines, its songs, its houses, its witness figures, and its doctrines alike. What looks like excess from the outside is often the hidden margin by which the soul, the sentence, the vow, or the house survive.